imagine this. You are in a room with people that you want to impress, whether it's parents or a classroom where you hold a presentation in front of teachers or lecturers or, well, your boss or anything. And these people have the opportunity to give you exactly what you want. Imagine that these people have different professions and they are experts within their profession, but they are not an expert in your profession. But you do have a lot of respect for these people, and they try to conform you to their values and their opinions. Tell me, what would you do in that situation? Would you stand your ground because you know your self-worth and you know your profession? Or would you cave? Would you try to please them just to get the dream that you have been waiting for? Difficult question, right? To choose between your integrity and what you truly want. This exact situation happened to me recently. Let me explain. So a few weeks ago, my dream job became available. I have been waiting for this position for 5 years, ever since I went to university, and finally it became available. Of course, I applied immediately because I have all the requirements for the position due to my education and also my work experience from the field. And I got called for an interview. I was so stoked. But here comes the first hurdle. They wanted me to drive 5 hours one way just for the interview because the manager sat in another city. Because the job itself would be like 20 minutes from where I live. But due to the fact that the manager sat in another city 5 hours away from my city, I drove there. 5 hours one way. And then I was on the interview for 2 hours and then I drove 5 hours back to my home. And at the interview, I was met with 4 people. The manager, an assistant, the veterinarian, and then the person responsible for the mentality test of the animals. And this last person that I mentioned, he constantly tried to devalue me, to degrade me, to insult me and my integrity, and to put me in my place. And the manager didn't say a thing. And when I actually answered back with facts and knowledge due to my profession, he started to question me in a degrading tone like, "And how do you know about that? Did you do the study or what?" And when I answered him like, "No, but I have read that study. Have you?" Then he just sits back and grins at me in a very ugly way. And this attitude happened multiple times during those 2 hours of interview. Another example, this was not even relevant for the position that I applied for. And he told me like, "And in what way do you think that your small breeding in Rottweilers will change anything?" Still in a degrading voice. And when I told him like, "I don't believe that, but I know about my integrity and what I stand for," then he became quiet again and just grinned at me and stared at me. And when he didn't ask me any of these questions, he just sat with his phone the rest of the interview. And please note that this person is quite notorious about having an attitude towards people within this area. And once again, the manager didn't say a thing. 2 days later, the manager calls me and tells me that I am the only qualified candidate from all the ones that have applied for this job position. And I was stoked. I was like, hell yes, I know that this is my calling. And then she also said, "But we don't believe that you can represent our breeding program." And when I asked her about this, like, "In what way don't I represent your breeding program?" Then she backtracked. And we're like, "Oh no, I didn't mean it like that. That's not what I meant. We just mean that you're quite green within the field and there weren't so many applicants for this job position. So we would like to open up the job position again just to see if we can get more applicants. But we still want you to stay in the run." And I asked her there and then, like, "Do you understand how this comes across? You do understand, right, that this makes me feel like you want to keep me as a reserve just in case you don't find the grass greener on the other side, and to keep me like this backup plan." And honestly, I also told her like, I don't know if I want to work with a workforce who doesn't want to work with me as much as I want to work with them. And her reply to that was, "No, we don't want you to withdraw your application. We want you because you have all the requirements." And the only thing that I told her like, I need to think about it. And that's it. So here I was, with my dream job right in front of me, with the possibility of getting that position. But my closest work team would be people that I don't want to work with either. Especially this guy who tried to degrade me all the time. I know what my competence is. I know what I can contribute with, and I know my worth. I have solid recommendations from my previous boss. I have solid recommendations from previous colleagues and also professors within the university, within the field of genetics, breeding programs, and animals. So, do I cave in to these people and try to conform myself just so that they will, hire me? Or do I stand my ground and know my worth and withdraw my competence from them? I chose me and my worth, so I withdrew my application. I am not a running candidate for this position anymore. Because as much as they are to decide whether or not they want to have me, the same goes for me. I am there to decide if I want to have them as my closest colleagues and manager. And honestly, after this interview, I don't think I can work with them. To be honest, I don't want to work with people like that. The work itself would truly be a dream for me, truly. But it's not worth putting myself down to be run over just because I want that dream. I know that my competence is more valuable than that. And of course, I'm super disappointed. It was this huge anti-climax, you know? I truly looked forward to this position and I was so excited when it came out. And now I'm like so disappointed in the manager. I'm so disappointed that this is actually allowed to happen on an interview, because in my professional career, I have never, ever been through that on an interview, ever. So it was very disappointing. And no matter how much I truly want this position, it's not worth it. It's not worth to go through that on behalf of my self-worth, my integrity, and my knowledge. And I also promised myself 1.5 years ago that I would never let anyone run over me again just because I want something so badly. So I guess this was the universe test for me. I don't know, just to see whether or not I have learned my lesson from 1.5 years ago and that I could keep my integrity intact. And sometimes we just need to make these hugely difficult decisions. Our dream or ourselves. I would say to always choose your self-worth, because the other side is ugly. I have been on that side. I know how it feels to be on the side where you don't choose your self-worth, and I don't wish that upon anyone. Know your worth. Know your integrity. Stand your ground with your back straight and be proud of what you can contribute with. Don't ever let anyone trample you down and devalue you. Stand up for yourself.